Today I'm going to go over 5 tips on recovering from COVID, those long hauler type symptoms that either you or maybe a family member might be struggling with. Here we go. And tip number 1 is going to be mindset. It's all about how you perceive your condition and what you want the outcome to be. If you're really mentally prepared to endure what it takes to get your life back, to get your endurance back, to be able to breathe and live the life that you once lived, well, you have to set your mind. You have to make sure that your mind is in a healthy place and your expectations are in line with where your condition is at. If you're having trouble with low-level activities that are giving you shortness of breath, decreased saturation levels, you have to understand that it's gonna be a gradual process. You've got to start where your baseline is and then gradually build up from there. Once you find out your baseline, it's much easier to understand, hey, where your starting point is. Your beginning point before you had the virus and the symptoms is possibly much different than where you're currently at. So align your expectations that progress takes time. Progress takes time. So as long as you have a good mindset that say, hey, I'm in this for the long haul, I'm in it to win it, and I wanna get my life back, that's the mindset that it's gonna take to help you improve your quality of life and get you back to life as you once knew it. All right, so mindset, mindset, mindset. Get it right, and let's keep moving forward. Let me help you out with more tips. Tip number 2 is gonna be knowing your vitals. And when I say vitals, I'm talking about your oxygen saturation level, also your rate of perceived exertion, and your dyspnea scale or your shortness of breath scale. Where do you fall on those 2 scales? So when I talk about oxygen saturation levels, it comes down to having a pulse oximeter. Do you have one? It looks like this. What it does is it checks the oxygen saturation and it allows you to monitor it and gauge it based on the activity that you're doing and also at rest. But it's a great tool so that you can understand where your limits are and when you should rest and when you should proceed. The next one is your rate of perceived exertion. This scale has to do with how much you feel that you're exerting. There's a certain level that you should be in. We can go into greater detail a little bit later, but for now, this is a great way so that you can describe how much exertion you are actually feeling. And then finally, the dyspnea scale or shortness of breath scale. This is also going to allow you to relate how much shortness of breath that you feel with the activity that you're doing. So using these 3 tools, they'll allow you to monitor how you feel and also what's happening internally regarding your oxygen saturation. So use these 3 tools. We can go in depth a little bit later on how to do that, but for now, tip number 2 is all about checking your vitals and how you feel with the activity you're doing. All right, you ready for the next one? Here we go. And tip number 3 has to do with how to breathe and breathing technique. There are specifically 2 breathing techniques that really play a role that help you with oxygen saturation, which would allow you to endure and do more activity for longer periods of time. And what breathing technique am I talking about? Diaphragmatic breathing. What that is using your diaphragm to inflate your lungs and also help with that saturation so that you can get good oxygenation to all your muscles, your vital organs, and everything that requires oxygen, which is everything in your body. So breathing is a key component to helping you improve your endurance and your activity tolerance to whatever it is you want to do. There's one other breathing technique that is helpful, and it has to do with pursed lip breathing. However, this pursed lip breathing technique has to do a little bit more along the lines of recovering from pneumonia, because pneumonia gums it all up and it makes it hard for gas exchange to happen in the lung. So what this pursed lip breathing does is it creates back pressure down into your lungs, getting all that stale air out and pushing it out. So what do you have? Better oxygenation in the deeper parts of the lungs. So with these 2 breathing techniques, diaphragmatic breathing and pursed lip breathing, can both aid in your ability to get better oxygenation and better readings on your pulse oximeter. We can definitely go deeper on how to perform these exercises and breathing techniques. However, for now, tip number 3 has to do with breathing techniques. And when it comes to tip number 4, it's all about pacing. You've got to pace yourself. Understand that, hey, things have been compromised. because of this virus, and pacing yourself with activity is gonna be ideal. I know things may seem like I'm only moving at a snail's pace, but if that's the pace you can move comfortably and for longer periods of time, that's okay. It's not about jumping back on the treadmill, cranking up the intensity, and trying to regain that strength and endurance back. It's not that simple. It's all about pacing yourself, understanding what your body's telling you, your rate of exertion, your oxygen saturation, and your shortness of breath scale. Those will help you pace yourself to the level of which you're currently at. As you get used to where you're currently at, you can gradually build the endurance and tolerance to activities, gradually increasing the intensity, gradually increasing the things that are gonna help you restore your body back to the life and the condition before the virus. All right, we can definitely go into details a little bit later, but for now, let's move on to our next tip. You ready? Here we go. And tip number 5, the last one on our list, is gonna be participating in a strength, flexibility, and endurance training protocol or exercise program. This is gonna take a little bit more time, but the idea is to utilize the other 4 tips that'll help you with this portion of your recovery program. Having a detailed plan with expectations, some goals to set and how to achieve them, praise yourself when you achieve those goals, and then also gradually build up your endurance and flexibility. Another problem with the COVID symptoms is that weakness is a problem. It's not gonna restore on its own, so you've got to increase the resistance load of your muscles, the upper body, the lower body, and that's how you can help improve your overall fitness to get back to moving and being able to do the things you love to do. So I hope this was helpful. I can expand more on the strengthening exercise program, what to do, how to do it, and all that in greater detail, but for now, I'll leave you with my 5 tips. I hope this was helpful, and if it was, please like, share, comment, subscribe. And more importantly, if you have a friend, family, loved one, someone who is suffering from long hauler syndromes and this lingering symptom from this COVID virus, by all means, send it their way. Maybe I can help them and get their life back. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Have a good one.